Hey guys, it is Christian here. Today I'm going to be doing a ranking of all of the Toy Story movies. Before I get into this, please like, subscribe, and tell me what you think of my ranking. See, I'm going to be ranking all the Toy Story movies, but rather than just doing a normal ranking where I would go with my fifth favorite, then my fourth favorite, then my third favorite, then my second favorite, then my favorite, I want to do something a little bit different. Obviously, the Toy Story movies, like, there'll be one movie that excels in one aspect and there'll be another movie that excels in another aspect. So I'm gonna rank like certain things that make a Toy Story movie good, and I'm gonna go from which movie does it the best to which one does it not the worst, because I think for the most part, all of them are great in these aspects. But I'll just go over like my favorite and then my least favorite, and then at the end I'll do an overall ranking. So the aspects I'll be going over, or the categories, are the story, animation, characters, villains, humor, emotional impact, themes, and endings, and I'll do my overall ranking at the end. So I'm going to start with the story, the writing, the script, pretty much all of that. I think all the Toy Story movies are super well written, so this one's a little bit. Actually, no, this one didn't take too long for me to come up with. Characters and themes took the longest, but we'll get to those. But as for story, um, I kind of think the original has the best story. It's the most cohesive, I guess. A lot of the Toy Story movies, the future ones, they'll have like a one subplot, like they'll have one plot and then another plot. Like they'll have one involving Woody, the next one involving Buzz. But this one has Woody and Buzz together, so it's pretty much just one cohesive story. Um, in the movie, Woody and Buzz evolve significantly. They have to they get caught in Sid's house and they have to escape his house. It's a very simplistic story, but it's a very great story at the same time. Um, I do have my rankings in another on a doc, so I'm gonna refer to that when putting everything on the tier ranking. Yeah, I would say Toy Story, the original, is probably the best written out of all of them. I think it's the funniest, which we'll get to. Um, it's probably, yeah. Yeah, I'm just gonna pull up my ranking. And, so yeah, for story, I would say second place goes to Toy Story 3. We'll see where that is. There. But yeah, Toy Story 3 has an incredible story about moving on. It's funny. It has very deep themes, great characters. So yeah, that's another phenomenal story. 10 out of 10 there. Then I'm going to go with Toy Story 2. Um, Toy Story 2 also deals with very important themes, like Woody's given the option to choose either to be at the museum or to stay with Andy, knowing that one day Andy's going to grow up. And I think that's a great theme. A lot of new characters introduced. There's a phenomenal scene with Jesse's backstory. Great B plot with Buzz and the crew trying to rescue Woody. So yeah, it's another phenomenally written Toy Story movie. I think they're all well written. It's just from which one I think is the best written to which one I think is the weakest. Fourth, I'll probably go with Toy Story 4. This one, again, introduces some very deep themes. It's very funny. Uh, Great new characters in there. Great script. Yeah, another phenomenally written Toy Story film. If it does have one issue, it does kind of sideline a lot of the cast, or a lot of the original characters. But due to it being Woody's story, I can't really fault it too much. So yeah, Toy Story 4. And then in least last place for the story is Toy Story 5. Toy Story 5, I think, is a great story, but I do think it is the most disjointed, with having four different plots with Jesse and Bullseye, Bonnie, Woody and Buzz, and then all the other Buzzes, they have their plot. So that probably goes in last, but I do think all of them are super well written. And Yeah, so for story it goes 1, then 3, then 2, then 4, then 5. Next we have animation. So the animation quality, and this one very easy one for me, because throughout all the movies you get to see the animation evolving again and again. You get to see the animation evolve from 1995 all the way to now. So this one is very easy. Number one for me is Toy Story 4. I think that's the best looking Toy Story movie. It's the most realistic looking out of all of them. The way they animated the rain, the carnival, the antique shop, all the lights look amazing, all the textures, the porcelain, all of it looks amazing. And then second, and then the rest of it's just gonna follow in reverse chronological order of the release. Of so Toy Story 5, another great looking one, which kind of reverts the franchise back to its more cartoony roots. It doesn't look as realistic as 4, but that's not an issue. I love when during the playtime scenes they revert to a new style of animation, so that's very cool. And then the rest of it is just 3, then it's 2, then it's 1. So I'm gonna put 3 there, then I'm gonna put 2, and then 1. I think all of them are well animated. It's just 1 is very disadvantaged because it does look a little bit dated, and you get to see throughout each film how the animation continues to evolve. So 1's definitely in last place, but I still think all of them are well animated. I think 4 though is just the most jaw dropping looking one, like the most jaw dropping and gorgeous one out of all of them. So yeah, 2, then 1. So yeah, there's that. Then characters. So this is basically how the movie uses their characters. Main characters, supporting characters, new characters. I wouldn't really consider villains too much because villains have their own category. But for characters, I would actually say that I think Toy Story 2 has the best characters. Woody's given a phenomenal arc here. You have Buzz's arc about trying to rescue Woody. A great mirror to the first movie when Buzz and Woody have to be rescued. I think this is where a lot of the supporting toys are at their strongest. Rex, Ham, Mr. Potato Head, Slinky, and that's where they're the best. The new characters are amazing. We get introduced to Jessie and Bullseye, who are amazing new characters. Wheezy is a great character. Zurg, uh, the other Buzz. We'll get to Sticky Pete and Al when we get to the villains, but they're great. Andy's great. Andy's mom is great. Yeah, phenomenal cast of characters in Toy Story 2. Then I'm gonna go with 1. I think because Woody and Buzz have to go through very significant character arcs. Woody has to learn how to let Buzz into his life and to share love, and then Buzz has to learn that he's a toy, and that being a toy is a great thing.
Shopping for your next car?
I gotta get this.
What about a sunroof? With millions of cars nationwide, Auto Navigator makes it easy to find the perfect one.
Okay, there we go. So yeah, and then in Toy Story 1, you also have Andy, who's great. You have all the other toys: Bo Peep, Rex, Ham, Potato Head, Slinky. All of them are amazing. Then I'm gonna go with Toy Story 4, because this is where I think this is Woody's best movie. I think there are a lot of great new characters. I think Bo Peep. This is also Bo Peep's best movie. This is easily the one where she has the biggest role, so that helps. And this one has amazing new characters: Ducky and Bunny, Duke Kaboom, and especially Forky. I love Forky. Bo Peep's friend Giggle McDimple's got a bit annoying, but yeah. Aside from that, I think all the new characters are great. Gabby, who we'll get to with Villain, she was amazing. What does bring it down a little bit is Buzz. His whole inner voice thing was a little bit annoying and a little bit repetitive, although I do think it ties well with the ending. And then, of course, like a lot of the other toys get heavily sidelined here. Jesse, Rex, Slinky, the Potato Heads, Ham. Bonnie's toys aren't really in it too much. But I do think they used their characters in the best way they could in Toy Story 4. Then I'm going to go with Toy Story 3. This one, again, amazing characters. The reason why it's below 4...
One for you, whatever that may be.
What the... The reason why this is below 4 is because I don't actually think any of the toy characters really peak in this one. Like when I think about Woody's best movie, I think it's 4. When I think about Buzz's best, I think it's 1 or 2. When I think about the supporting characters best, I think it's 3. Well, no, I think it's 2. And then when I think about Jesse's best, we'll actually get to Jesse's best here. Although I do think 5 also does suffer from a lot of the same problems as 4. Yeah, 3 has a lot of great characters, great new additions. Michael Keaton's Ken, Barbie, Lotto's henchmen. Well, actually, Lotto's henchmen, they look cool, but aside from Ken and Big Baby, they don't really have too much to do. But Woody has a great arc of having to let go of Andy. Buzz has an interesting character where he thinks he's a toy again because Lotso changes him, and then he speaks Spanish at one point, so that's funny. But should 3 go above 4? No, because then 4 is really good character study of Woody. And then for last place for characters, I'm gonna go with Toy Story 5. I do think this is Jesse's best movie, and Bullseye, I guess, but I think it is Jesse's strongest. She has the strongest character arc. It goes full circle with Toy Story 2. A lot of great new characters introduced. I think this is actually Bonnie's. Like, Bonnie's amazing. And I should talk about this. I thought Andy was great in Toy Story 3, but Bonnie, this is the most present a human character has been in a Toy Story film. And Bonnie's great here. There are a lot of great new characters. Atlas, Snappy, Lily Pad I thought was great. We'll get to her when we get to villains, although she may not. Is she really a villain? We don't know. And then, of course, obviously, Smarty Pants, probably the best the best new character in Toy Story 5. What brings it down is that I think, once again, Buzz's plot was a little silly with him having to propose to Jessie. I actually preferred it less to the inner voice thing. Woody doesn't really have too much to do, although he had a great conclusion in 4, so again, you can't really fault him too much. But once again, the toys get heavily sidelined. Rex, Potato Heads, Ham, Slinky, Bonnie's toys, and even Forky doesn't really have too much to do outside of his wedding. So yeah, it's probably in last place for that, but I do think the characters are really good in all the movies. And then we have villains. I think 3 has the best villain with Lotso. Lotso alone brings 3 to number 1 for villains. I thought, again, all of his henchmen are cool. I don't really think their characters are too distinct outside of Ken and Big Baby are the most memorable out of his henchmen, but Lotso alone brings it to number 1. Then number 2 is Toy Story 2. 2 great villains in this one with Stinky Pete, the main villain, and then Al, who's the villain for most of it before Stinky Pete gets revealed. He kidnaps Woody. He's like this greedy toy collector guy. And then you have Stinky Pete, who has never been loved his whole life and thinks that the museum is finally going to be his chance to be admired, and he doesn't want Woody to mess it up for him. So, yeah, whole great arc there. Lotso, kind of similar to Lotso, where he was replaced by Daisy, and his bitterness twisted into just being pure evil. I mean, willing to let the toys die, pretty much. Yeah, 3 and 2 definitely have the best villains. Then I'm gonna go with Toy Story 4. I think Gabby's not really a villain. I think that's what makes her so great. I mean, she is a little bit at the beginning, but she's really sympathetic and just wants to be loved. And I think that twist there is a great one. So yeah, 4 goes there. Then I'm gonna go with Toy Story 5 with Lily Pad, another kind of sympathetic villain because she's not really evil. She just wants to help Bonnie, and that's the same goal that Jesse has in this movie. So yeah, 5. I think Lily Pad's great, and then in last place it's Toy Story 1 with Sid. I think Sid's a great villain, but he lacks the depth that the other villains have, so that's why Toy Story 1 has to go in last for villains. Then there's humor, like the comedy in the Toy Story films. So which one do I think? So like, which ones I think are the funniest? I think they're all really funny, but I think one's probably the funniest. There are actually a lot of jokes that kind of will go over your head. Yeah, one's very hilarious. Woody and Buzz's chemistry is super funny. All the supporting characters are funny. Yeah, probably the funniest. 2's also funny. Has a lot of the same humor, I guess. A lot of adult jokes, but it's very funny. Then I'm gonna go with Toy Story 5. I think 5 was hilarious. There was Conan O'Brien's Smarty Pants was hilarious about all the Woody and Buzz's banter was great, very funny. So yeah, 5, and then 4. I think 4 is also very funny. Forky's very funny. But Ducky and Bunny are funny. Yeah, I'm gonna go with 4. And then the reason why I'm gonna put 3 in last was because even though I do think it is a funny film, the humor isn't really what stands out to me. And I don't know, where'd it go? The humor is not really what stands out to me in Toy Story 3. I think 3 is the most kind of serious of them all, the most emotional one. Which will tie right into our next section, actually. But yeah, due to it lacking a little bit of humor, even though there is humor there, I do think it probably does go last. But that's mainly just because it's first in our next category, emotional impact. Which one do I think is the most emotional? It's 3. Toy Story 3 is the most emotional. The whole ending, the whole incinerator scene, the whole theme of letting go, like it's easily the most emotional Toy Story movie. Lotso's whole backstory. Speaking of backstory, second I have Toy Story 2. Again, Jesse's backstory, super emotional. And again, the whole themes, like all the character Woody chooses love, knowing that there are risks involved, and it may not end the best. It may not end well, but he chooses it anyway. That's a really emotional theme to it. Then it's Toy Story 4. Very emotional scenes there, especially the ending. When Woody has to say goodbye to the toys because he fulfills his new purpose. So yeah, 4. Then there's 5. 5 has very emotional scenes. Jessie, the whole Emily scene, where she finds out that Emily named her daughter after her. That scene's emotional. The scene where Bonnie gets cyberbullied by her fake friends, emotional. Yeah, I think this one doesn't have as much of an emotional gut punch ending as 3 and 4, but it doesn't really need to. I think the ending actually really worked. Well, we'll get to ending when we get there. And then 1 is probably the least emotional. I don't think there are really any scenes in the first one that would be cry-worthy. But I think like it's because 1 is the most simplistic of them all, and so they really had room to grow and become more emotional with each movie, and I think they did that. So 1 has to go in last, but yeah. And then there's themes. This one was probably the hardest one for a while because they have such great themes to all the Toy Story films. I gotta put 3 at first. It's a whole theme of letting go and accepting change and what else? But yeah, the whole theme is about letting go, accepting change, accepting a new chapter, going like in a new chapter, like going. It may be easier to stay in, but like leaving maybe it's easier not to leave, but it ends up being the better choice to leave, like all that. So yeah, the whole theme is just letting go. Then I'm going with Toy Story 2. Again, it's the whole theme of choosing love, even if you know it will hurt you. So yeah, two. That's a very great theme. Then I'm going with one. One is about expanding love. Love is never replaced; it's expanded, and you have to learn to share love when new people enter your life. So that's a very amazing theme. Then I'm gonna go with Toy Story 4, which is about choosing your new purpose after your previous one appears to have been fulfilled. Woody is able to do that through helping toys like Forky and Gabby Gabby, and that's why that factors into his decision at the end to stay with Bo Peep to help up new toys. It's not him abandoning his friends at all. It's him accepting his new purpose. So I think that was very beautiful. And then Toy Story 5 is about how human connection is super important. We'll understand each other the most by talking to one another. And it's also about um, what was the other theme I got from Toy Story 5? There's one other theme that I got from it. Oh, it's about not not having to change yourself to appease others, because Bonnie has her ballet friends who don't really play with toys, but then she's able to and they make fun of her for still playing with toys. But then she meets a new friend, Blaze, who is able to have similar interests as her. So it shows that you shouldn't have to change yourself to appease other people. You should find people that will appreciate you for the person that you are. And I think that's just an amazing theme there. See, all of them have amazing themes, so that one was a hard ranking. Then endings. They all have great endings too. But 3 has the best ending. A lot of people said it should have been the ending of the franchise, with Andy giving his toys away to Bonnie. I do think the ending to 3, when I watched it, I don't know if it's just because there are more Toy Story movies now, but when I watched it, I interpreted it as being Andy's ending for sure, but being a new beginning for the toys. And but there being a lot of room to tell more stories with their experience with Bonnie. And that's obviously what they do with a lot of the shorts and specials. That's what they do in Toy Story 4 and Toy Story 5 as well. Speaking of 4, I think Toy Story 4 is the second strongest ending. Another great gut punch of one, and one that's built up really well. So that's gonna go there. Then I'm gonna go with Toy Story 1. Yeah, 1, because I think the whole climax involving RC and them having to reach Andy, all that was great. Actually, I do like the ending of Toy Story 5. I think the climax isn't as strong as the climax in 1, though, and the climax in 2, because that one involves the whole airplane, which was great. And then the ending where the toys accept that Andy's going to one day grow up. Like, all that is very great. And then 5 has a great ending with Bonnie and Blaze playing together. That whole ending was great. So, yeah, I think all the endings are great. It's just that some pack more of an emotional punch than others. And then my overall ranking. What is my overall ranking? In last place, even though I do still love it, I gotta go with Toy Story 5. I think it's a great film. Just there are some aspects where I think it's the weakest. Then I'm gonna go with Toy Story 4. Another great one. But I don't quite think these two reach the level of the original trilogy. This one was number 1 before my rewatch of all the movies, but number 3 is going to be the first Toy Story. A classic movie, although the sequels really showed that there was room for more expansion, and they do it super well. So this one, it was a little bit of a hard decision whether I think 2 or 3 is the best. But I'm going to say number 2 is Toy Story 2. And then number 1, my favorite Toy Story movie of the bunch, is Toy Story 3. So my overall ranking, number 5 is Toy Story 5, 4 is Toy Story 4, 3 is Toy Story, 2 is Toy Story 2, and 1 is Toy Story 3. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching my Toy Story ranking. I'll probably do another Pixar ranking when Gato comes out in March. I do think it is about time I do another Pixar rewatch. I met the last like full Pixar rewatch I did was in 2020 leading up to Soul. So I do think it is about time to revisit a lot of these movies again and see how my ranking has changed. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.